Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. First off, if you hear a little dog in the background, that's because he only barks when I'm recording. Anyway, we are working with Julia hair today, and I'm just going to quickly show you guys how I make most of my wigs because I get sent a lot of hair and I don't have a lot of time to sew each and every wig. So I'm going to show you how to make a wig in like 40 minutes or less. So just talking about the hair real quick, I got 3 bundles and a closure, and all the information will be down below in the description bar as per usual. But I believe I have a 24, a 22, a 20, and a 16-inch closure. Now this hair wasn't shedding, which is awesome. It didn't shed basically the entire time I was like putting the wig together. I dyed it, I straightened it, I curled it, I did a lot of shit, but it did not shed. However, the closure didn't come pre-plucked, so I did have to do some work on that. You guys will see that a little bit later. It is a free part closure. I was just trying to quickly show you guys that. And the dome cap that I always use is a mesh dome cap, and the reason I use a mesh dome cap is because I like to use the glue gun method, and that allows the glue to kind of sink in and grab hold of all those little tiny holes in the cap. It's better than like the regular spandex dome cap because it actually gives the glue something to hold on to, and it makes the wig a lot more durable. So to start, I like to do the closure first. First of all, always do the closure first. No matter if you're sewing or if you are gluing, closure goes down first. So I taper it down in the very middle, and then I tack the 2 sides down because you're going to want to glue the back before you glue the front. And the reason you do that is to create as flat as a base as possible. And I will show you guys that in a second. So make sure your hot glue gun is on hot. Mine's old and janky. Do not judge me because it's super dirty. It has seen hundreds of wigs at this point. But yeah, so you're just gonna want to do a strip of glue in the back and lay that down as flat as possible. See, I have a little bubble right there. You don't want that bubble. It's hard to record and do this, but you do not want that bubble. So make sure it's as flat as possible, and then you can tack the sides down because then you can kind of stretch it as wide as the closure will go. You always want to, even when you're sewing, you want to do the back first and make sure that's as flat as possible, and then the sides will kind of go into place. If you do the sides first, I guarantee you're gonna have lumps in the back. It's just, it's physics, science. But yeah, so go ahead and tack that back down first, and then tack them sides down, girl. Now, in order to do the hot glue gun method, it's better to kind of have the head on the stand, but you don't have to. You can put it between your legs, just be extra careful. I like to pin down the very first one, the very first end. I pin it down, and then I start to glue a line across. And you don't have to worry about gluing over the band and, you know, gluing over the stretchy part, because once you cut out the middle underneath your once you cut out the middle underneath the closure, your wig is going to stretch anyway. So you can kind of just go with the flow. This wig head is exactly my size head, so once it's stretched over the ears, it gives me a little bit more of a stretch when I put it on my head, but it's pretty perfect, so I don't have to worry about putting it on my head and then kind of measuring it around and gluing while it's on my head and stuff like that. So if you can get yourself a wig head, that's the best thing to do. If not, you really don't have to worry about it because the wig is going to stretch once you take that middle part out. So this part is important. Once you just glue that straight line across, which is pretty self-explanatory, so I just let you guys watch that, I like to pin down the end, and then I put a dot of glue right behind it, or on top of it technically. You guys will see that in a second. And I fold it over, and this prevents me from, one, cutting my wefts and creating more shedding than needs be, and it also basically hides the tracks in this way. So just go ahead and see how I do it. I put the dot of glue, and then I bend it back, and then I continue on with gluing it, you know, pretty closely to the next track. That way I don't have a whole a lot of track ends showing, like, because I don't have any hair to leave out on the sides, and I don't really like to leave my hair out anyway. If the wind blows, you can't see a whole bunch of tracks, a whole bunch of individual tracks. They won't be cut into individual pieces, things like that. So the flip over method, which is attributed to Ivy here on YouTube, is an older method, but it's often not used when doing the hot glue gun, because I don't know why people don't flip over their tracks when they hot glue gun. I don't know. Anyway, that's a way to do it. You basically just put the little dot like above the previous track and then you flip it over. It's super easy. Now the reason I'm not putting the track all the way up to the closure, if you see there's like a little gap between where I'm flipping it over and where the closure is because I did cut one of these smaller wefts at the exact size. You'll see that later on, you guys, and it fits right in there. So when we get to that part, I'll explain it. Now, when I get to the second bundle of hair, I like to just do my tracks across, and I do them super close together, because technically at this point we're in like the back of the head. So the first bundle is technically at the bottom of your head when you put the wig on, and this is going to be at the back, like in the dead center of your dome. So this is where you want the most hair, because you don't want it at the top. You don't want your hair too bulky at the top. You want the most hair to be in the back and at the bottom, so it's really full. So what I like to do is just put the tracks really close to each other. Usually when you're sewing, this is the time that you'll double weft, or you'll double your bundles, but it's kind of hard to do when you are gluing. So here's a way to do, if you really want to do it, here's a way to do it. You basically put the glue right on top of the previous track and then just fold it over. And I would say do this every other track. Don't do it like, don't keep folding on top, because you're just gonna like 100 layers of nail polish, if that makes sense. It'll be like 100 layers of track. It'll look really stupid. Now, this is a problem that I found in this one bundle, was that it had like a really nappy part of the hair. I don't know why. I don't know if it come from the processing, I don't know if it come from the way it was wrapped, but it was like tangled and shit. So I just cut that part out. I didn't have any more problems, but that was a little like, I felt a little weird about that. The hair didn't have a smell to it, but it did smell. No, it didn't have a smell. It didn't have a corn chip smell, but it had like a perfumey smell, like they washed it in something to get rid of a corn chip smell. Anyway, I don't know what they did to his hair. It was hella silky after I straightened it, but when I was taking it straight out of the pack, I was very skeptical of his hair at first. So yeah, basically I just keep going as close as possible to the previous track, and that's how I fit the second bundle in, and I just keep going like that until I get to the last bundle. Now when you get to the top of the head, you want to go in circular motions around. So this is the very last bundle, and I kind of just followed the little pattern. Now here's where the one track that I pre-cut goes. It fits perfectly here to kind of seal the deal with the closure. So it goes right on top of that little tan part of the closure, right on top of where the flip over wefts are, and it just hides everything. It makes everything seamless and flat, and you cannot tell how zigzaggy the tracks are. So it's hiding tracks, it's hiding like pattern, everything, and the wig is basically as flat as possible. And when the wind blows, you won't see a whole bunch of tracks. When you part it, you won't see a whole bunch of like tracks or anything. Everything is pretty nice and neat. So you're just gonna want to cut out that one part underneath the closure and get rid of all of the excess like glue and stuff hanging down. Once you comb it and wash it, it all comes out anyway. I added a band onto the back of my wig just for extra security, because I don't actually want to glue this wig down. So what I just do is sew the band onto the wig, and when I applied it, the closure wasn't my skin color. So I'm going to show you guys a really quick way to tint your lace. And if you notice, I also did not bleach the knots, so this is a quick way to get away with not bleaching your knots and tinting your lace at the exact same time. You're just going to take the Sally Hansen Airbrush Legs makeup in your shade of makeup, and then very quickly spray that onto your closure and or frontal and on 360 closure, whatever you want. Wait for it to dry, and perfect. You don't have to bleach any knots, you don't have to put any makeup on the bottom of the closure, you don't have to tint it with tea bags or whatever the hell you want to do. You just spray it in like 2 seconds. Pow, you done. These are all like little tips and tricks, you guys. Yeah, y'all didn't even know that. If you did know it, kudos to you. Anyway, so to straighten this hair, I just take my hot comb and I make the top as flat as possible. Then I went back in with a little bit of black shadow, because I noticed that I did pluck this closure a little bit too much, you know. Sometimes I'll be going ham. I'm just taking my argan oil and I put that all over the hair, and then I did my baby hair, and I'm using a new product to lay down my baby hair, and it's the Murray's Edge Wax, and it's bomb.com because it helps me mold my baby hairs, but it doesn't make them hard, and it stays like that. Like they are baby hairs for life after that. It's really cool. So anyway, after I apply the oil and I do my baby hair, I'm just gonna take my hot comb and go ahead and run my hot comb through all of my hair to make it as sleek and straight as possible. I got this hot comb off of Amazon. I'll have the link below if you guys want to click on that. And that is just about it for how I make my wigs. Literally the making of the wig, like actually making the wig, not the dyeing and the cutting and the straightening part, it only took 40 minutes. The rest of it is what took all the time. So if you guys need a really quick way to make a wig, just go ahead and hot glue on it. And especially, like, it holds up, it really does. And if it just, you know, if it starts falling apart, you have hella glue to just glue it back together. It's really not that hard. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. This hair is living. Look at this hair. Hold on. I want to do like a full-on review of this hair. I just have not done it yet. It's so like Kardashian, Alfred Zanali, like full. Get to the fucking flip! Ah! Yes, bitch! Y'all see that hair flip? I should put a second one in there. Oh my god, this hair is so silky. This is my new favorite wig, you guys. If you want to see how I dye this hair, go ahead and leave a comment below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.